All right. Hello. Welcome to a brand new show with the Ward Beecher Planetarium. We're doing our cosmic conversations tonight as we discuss one of our favorite constellations, Leo. I'm Tiffany Woolbrick, and joining me this evening is Kurt Spivey.
Heyo.
And I was trying to look on our Facebook. It looks like we have a couple of viewers now. Welcome. We're excited to have you. Please, we're going to be watching the comments on Facebook. Let us know if you have any questions about Leo or any weird, obscure facts or anything like that. We're here to concentrate on this constellation.
If
You
you
can
are a sky observer and have observed something in Leo, we'd be happy to hear that too.
Yes, yes, absolutely. There's some really great things you can see in this constellation through a telescope or good binoculars that you can't with the unaided eye. You can see in my background that a picture of the nighttime sky. This is our sky tonight, currently, right as the sun is setting. So right as it's starting to get dark in your northeastern sky, you're going to see a very famous group of stars that look like a big spoon in the sky. If you've seen our show before, you know that's the Big Dipper. Well, just below the Big Dipper, almost due east, our constellation Leo the Lion is rising, and he is the king of our springtime skies.
Speaking of which, Tiffany, do you know where the phrase "in like a lion, out like a lamb" came from?
Oh, that sounds like Leo.
That is Leo. Now, these days, meteorologists have changed it. It has to do with weather. Apparently, this year, March came in like a lamb, which means it should go out like a lion. That's the common nomenclature today. But it originally started with the nighttime sky because Leo the lion rises in the east right at sunset, almost to the day of the first day of March. So March comes in like a lion. However, at the end of the month, the constellation Aries the Ram, not Lamb, but Ram, is setting with the sun. The sun is entering that constellation as the month ends. So, hence, in like a lion, out like a lamb actually comes from the nighttime sky. But Aries the Ram is another episode.
Well, one of the reasons why we started this segment, Cosmic Conversations, is we do Star Talks very often in our planetarium when we're open, and almost every episode of our Keep Looking Up show that we do on Saturdays at 8 p.m. But we don't have a lot of time to really get into the depth of some of the objects that we talk about, and not just constellations. We're focusing on a constellation today, but we could in the future do other things, star clusters or planets or whatever we want. And so the idea is that we talk not just about where it is in your sky, but some of the lore behind it, some of the stories that people have told, and some of the astronomical objects you can find in it as well. So, Kurt, do you know any stories about Leo?
Well, I do know that 4,000 years ago, due to the precession of the Earth, the summer solstice happened when when the sun was in Leo. So the mightiest constellation in the sky met up with the power of the sun and created the hottest season of the year. I think that was the Babylonians. It might have even been before the Greeks, or it could have been early Greeks as well. But the Greeks had another story about it too. Leo was the Nemean lion, and he lived on the moon. And he came to Earth as a shooting star and landed in the area of Corinth. But his hide was impervious to all weapons, so he wreaked havoc and was killing all sorts of things. Well, in a parallel story, Hercules had a fit of madness put on him by Zeus's wife Hera, and he committed some crime. So he was put in the care of a king whose name I can't pronounce, begins with an E. I never could. I'm terrible with Greek names. I apologize to any of the Greek members of our audience, but I am terrible with Greek names. but he was put in the charge of this king, and he had to perform 12 labors to atone for his crime that he committed. And his first was to slay the Nemean lion. Now, he had a problem because the lion was impervious to weapons. So basically, he went to Corinth and he wrestled with the lion for 30 days. And 30 nights. Eventually, he was able to grab the lion about its throat and strangle the lion and kill it. After he did that, he took the hide and made a coat out of it so he would be impervious to weapons as well. But Zeus put the Nemean lion back up in the sky from whence he came and became the constellation Leo.
Wow. So the 12 feats of Hercules, those are actually all represented in the sky. We don't have time to talk about those today, but these stories that get really intricate and sometimes very gory, they
sometimes gross too.
Yeah.
So.
But they help people remember where the different constellations are in the nighttime sky, when the seasons change and things like that. So that's why these stories have been so important through the ages.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we could do Hercules at a later time because the 12 labors of Hercules are often reflected in the 12 signs of the zodiac. So it was kind of like the original serial B movie at a movie theater. Come back next month to learn more about the adventures of Hercules. So we can try that sometime if you like. But yeah, the Nemean lion is the first.
Yeah. Well, we could go through those. So as Kurt mentioned, the Leo is one of the zodiac constellations, which means it lies on or near the ecliptic. The ecliptic is an invisible line, just like we have an invisible line on the Earth that marks the equator, on the middle of our Earth. It's not real, but we have it on a globe. Well, the ecliptic is not as an imaginary line across the sky that represents where the path of the sun carves in our sky. And so any constellation that lies on or near that line is a zodiac constellation. That's where we get our 12, really 13 constellations. And so Leo, because of that, the moon can sometimes be in Leo. And I always enjoy being in the planetarium or looking up in the nighttime sky whenever, and seeing the moon right where Leo's, right between his arms there. It looks sort of like he's playing with the moon, like a yarn ball or something. It's it's pretty cool.
Yes, he also is home to a very famous asterism. His head is a backwards question mark, what we call the sickle.
You can see that, yeah.
Right up at the top.
The sickle.
And then the brightest star in Leo is Regulus, which is right there beneath the sickles, the dot on the question mark. And down by Tiffany's elbow is the nebula, which means tail. And that is the star that marks his tail down there.
I'm not seeing any questions so far or any comments about Leo. Let us know what you like about him, or if you have any ideas on what other constellations or other objects in the sky you'd like to learn more about in more detail. Let's see, the other thing that I know about Leo is that it's not always a lion. We talk often about Greek mythology because that is the I guess the standardization that we've chosen.
The International Astronomical Union has adopted the 44 original Greek constellations, of which Leo is a part, but they were not the only people around the world that had stories about the nighttime sky, for sure.
Yeah, so I know about the Babylonians. They saw a big hound or dog.
Yeah, but the Greeks already had one of those over in the winter sky, so they didn't need one of those here. So a couple of tribes in Brazil saw a giant crayfish in this part of the sky, which I find interesting, but I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
According to the picture I have, that the sickle is supposed to be his tail, but probably my favorite one, though, it comes from the Chinese people. It was, let me see here. Hian Yuan, the rain dragon, because spring was the start of their rainy season. So they saw Hian Yuan in the nighttime sky. They knew it was time for their rain rituals.
So Leo's going to be up in our sky all night long throughout the summer months throughout the spring months, and we'll be able to see him pretty well through the summer as well. Uh, in terms of astronomical events that happen, we talked about some of the bright stars in Leo, but one of the things that I really like about Leo that makes it one of my favorite constellations is the Leonid meteor showers. These happen early to mid-November every year. But every 33 years or so, they're a little more concentrated. So it creates this meteor shower.
I think they call that a meteor. It's normally a shower. It becomes a meteor storm when that happens.
Yeah. So the reason why they're the Leonids is because the shooting stars that you see in the nighttime sky during a meteor shower, they all will appear to originate from Leo the lion.
Which is
Near
in the
that
very early morning sky at that time of the year.
Yeah, so Leonids are actually, it's a spectacular meteor shower, even on the off years, but it's an inconvenient time because it's November, so it's usually cold, and it's at like 3 a.m. is usually when the meteor shower will peak. But there was a couple of years, I think it was like 99, 2000, 2001, something like that, where there was more of a concentration of these meteors, and there's more meteors it was like a meteor storm, like you were saying, Kurt. And I remember my mom woke me up and got me out of bed, and we bundled up in a bunch of blankets, and we laid on the roof, the hood of her car, and we watched the meteors for hours, and it was amazing. You couldn't stop looking at one before you saw another one in your peripheral. It was just constant. It really was. It was so cool.
I was in West Virginia at the time, a member of the Kanawha Valley Astronomical Society, and we had an observatory at a 4-H camp with this big cement pad. There must have been 30 or 40 of us laying out there in our sleeping bags. And we were worried because it was starting to get fog up from the river valley below us, and clouds were moving in. But we did catch a good chunk, a burst of like 20 or 30 at one time. That was pretty cool. According to records, back in the 1700s and 1800s, this was a much more intense storm. The way meteor showers form is, what happens is comets come from the outer solar system into the inner solar system, and they're basically big dirty snowballs. So what do you think is going to happen to a snowball when it starts getting near the sun?
It's gonna steam up. Right?
It's going to start to melt, but it doesn't all melt at one time. But because of that, because it's a dirty snowball, it leaves this trail of debris behind. And at several points in the Earth's orbit around the sun, it plows through these streams of debris. Now, this isn't large stuff. These are about the size of a Rice Krispie, maybe up to the size of a mini marshmallow. And as we go through them, they burn up in our atmosphere. Might not seem like a lot, but keep in mind that it's very dark, and these things are heating up to tens of thousands of degrees as they hit the atmosphere. So for a brief moment, they flare up super, super bright, miles above our head, and we are able to see them with the meteor showers. This particular meteor shower, the Leonids, is controlled by a comet called Comet Tuttle. And what happens every 33 years, it's a short orbit, it only goes back out to about Jupiter before it comes back into the sun. And we go, and it's dead. It's gone around the sun so many times, it's shredded. And at that 33-year mark, we go through what's left of the nucleus of the comet. And back in the 1700s and 1800s, this shower was so intense every 33 years, literally the night, it would look like a fireworks display. The sky would just be alight with meteors going off, hundreds and hundreds per minute going on. But what they think happened is the gravity of Jupiter has changed the orbit of that nucleus a little bit, or it's starting to run out of particles, so it's not as intense as it was hundreds of years ago. Oh, we do have a couple of questions up on Facebook now. The first one is there anything interesting about the stars that make up Leo? What type of star is Regulus?
That's a great question. the reason why I like Leo is not the stars. Usually my favorite constellations are because there's really cool stars inside of them. Not that Leo doesn't have cool stars, but the brightest star Regulus is a large white hot star. But it is pretty big for it's a larger than average star, and it's somewhat close to us. I think it was 39 light years, 36 light years away, something like that. Less than 100 light years away from us. So it's fairly close and fairly large. It's the 20th brightest star in the whole sky. And I feel like there was something interesting about Denebola, the tail star, but I can't remember.
The nebula. I can't remember that one either. We have another question there too.
Okay. Larry's asking us, could you talk about Gamma Leo and its location in the star pattern?
Yes, I am looking that up now. Gamma Leo is the right where the mane meets the back of the lion in your picture there.
Oh,
right
like,
there. That's Gamma Leonis. And it's a double star. It used to, it bore the traditional name Algiba, which originated in Arabic, meaning the forehead, despite its meaning the star actually appears as the mane. As we go through, it is a bright binary system in Leo with an orange red and yellow or greenish yellow components visible through a modest telescope under good atmospheric conditions to the naked eye.
That might be a good place to point your new telescopes.
Exactly. A telescope easily splits the pair. It has an apparent magnitude of 2.2, first magnitude of the brightest star. So this is easily seen even around light pollution, where you can see down to around third magnitude. And the main star has a spectral class of K1. So it's much hotter. It's about 180 times hotter than the sun. And it's about 23 times the diameter of the sun. With an angular separation of just over 4 arc seconds, the two stars are at least 170 astronomical units apart, 4 times the distance between the sun and Pluto, and have an orbital period of 500 years. This is a very long period, and only a fraction of the full path has been observed since they were discovered to be a pair.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because the orbital period's so long, we haven't seen it go around. So maybe that star. So one neat thing about binary stars, if they line up a certain way, sometimes one star will eclipse the other, and the brightness will vary in our sky. This is really common. We call them variable stars. It's where they look like they get dimmer, but it's usually not detectable by your eyes. I don't know if that one would be or not.
Yes. I don't think you can see the pair. The other thing that the article that I was just checking out points out is they are both giant stars and are both elderly stars.
Oh, interesting. So one point I want to make, many of you probably know this, but the reason why it's called Gamma Leo is it's how we organize stars. So Regulus, the heart of Leo there, is the brightest star. That's Alpha Leo. So we go.
Nebula is Beta.
Alpha, Beta. Beta is the second brightest star in the constellation, and we keep going like that. And that's how we organize the stars in constellations. So
thanks to a gentleman named Johannes Bayer, as in Bayer aspirin, who wrote a book called the Uranometra in 1787.
Yeah, so any constellation will have an alpha, beta star, all the way down until it runs out of stars. So great questions, guys. I think that'll wrap us up for now. If you watch this when it's not live afterwards, if you want to, please feel free to comment below and let us know what you want us to talk about next time. I think we'll do these every other week or so, and we're not going to plan these out far in advance. We want to hear from you.
And we want it to be a conversation with you. So we want your comments in Facebook. Unfortunately, we can't open Zoom to everybody, so we get trolled as much as we'd like to. But please let us know what you think in the comments. If you think of any topics in space and astronomy that you'd like us to address, that you'd like to discuss with us, We'll be happy to take them on here. This is a more informal setting than we do with our Keep Looking Up shows, and we did it so we can spend a little more time with these interesting things in the nighttime sky. All sorts of interesting things all over the night sky. And when we do our star talks, we try to be general over the whole sky. Here we can concentrate on specific things you're interested in.
So let's continue the conversation in the comments. Feel free to ask questions even a few days later. We'll come back and chat with you about Leo. I'm always down to talk about our favorite space lion. So
I've got one too. I've got a space lion right here. Roar.
All right. Thank you all. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Talk to you later, everybody. See you Saturday for Keep Looking Up.
That's right. See you here Saturday, 8 p.m. for our Keep Looking Up.